Hey guys, it's Mr. Wulfy, and this Christmas season I thought I'd share a special video discussing my favorite versions of A Christmas Carol. Now, Charles Dickens' classic tale is widely considered one of the best works of fiction ever created, and as a result there have been dozens of movies, plays, TV specials, and animated shorts about it. Some are direct adaptations of the story, some are reimaginings, and some are just satire. But pretty much everyone has seen at least several versions if they're old enough to remember Christmas at all, or if they celebrate Christmas at all. This list is comprised only of versions that I have seen personally and that I not only watch every year, but enjoy watching for specific reasons. Also, as a stipulation, I made sure it was all versions that I own at least one copy of. And this list is not some hoity-toity, this is the 5 best versions you'll ever see nonsense. It's just a list of my favorites, so if you don't agree, that's cool. I'd love to hear about your own lists. Number 5, Mickey's Christmas Carol. Now, Scrooge McDuck is one of my all-time favorite Disney characters, and having him play the role of Ebenezer Scrooge just makes the show that much more fun. Scrooge McDuck's code of honor and decency shine through when it matters, allowing his Christmas Carol counterpart to elicit the proper emotional capital. The animation is, of course, fantastic. The parts are all played by Disney characters that existed at the time, and everything else is kind of what quality you would expect from reading the title. The only real problem I have is that due to the reduced time, they lose a lot of the emotional impact that is really necessary in a Christmas Carol story, although they do come through when it counts. I get what they were going for by making it just a shortened version that hit all the high points of the story, and can't really complain about the result. Number 4, Disney's A Christmas Carol. When I first heard about this one, I was mildly skeptical. Jim Carrey has shown more than once that he's totally capable of serious and dramatic acting, but the trailers reflected a lot of the flashy animated sequences, obviously geared towards the younger audience. Now, when I finally saw the movie, all my concerns were discarded, because it actually is a very solid version that stayed true to the original story. Now, as far as things I really like about this version, everyone probably already knows this because other reviewers have mentioned it, but this movie handles the dramatic impact of Tiny Tim's death better than any other version I've ever seen, probably. It has one of the most emotionally effective scenes I have ever seen in a Christmas Carol story. Actually several, although one in particular stands out among Christmas Carol adaptations, without revealing too much about what happens. Number 3, TNT's A Christmas Carol. This version first aired on TNT as a TV special in 1999, and has since only been shown once or twice a year at best. Now, my dad and I like this version so much, he made sure to purchase a DVD of it after missing it one year. Patrick Stewart plays a very effective Scrooge. In the special features of the DVD, it discusses how he, for years, performed the entire story of A Christmas Carol in a one-man play. Now, I haven't seen the play, and honestly, I have no idea how that's even possible, but I have no doubt it would be a good experience based on his performance in the movie. He captures the intensity and turmoil of a Scrooge that is slowly cracking as he realizes how much of a jerk he is to everyone, and how much of his life has been wasted or misused by being such a jerk. The movie also does a good job of showing how much Scrooge finally gives in to the customs of Christmas after waking from his night of hauntings, something most versions don't really do. Now, the key factor of this movie, and the main reason I like it so much, is that Richard E. Grant is probably my favorite Bob Cratchit in any version of the story I've ever seen. He plays such an organic, natural version of the character that honestly, it doesn't feel like he's acting. He feels like Bob Cratchit. Every line and every emotional expression on his face feels like something the real Bob Cratchit would say or do. It doesn't feel like he's just reading the script in a dramatic fashion. Is that weird? Am I making it weird? I just mean that I think he embodies the character better than anyone I've ever seen. Number 2, Scrooged. If you haven't seen this movie, and you absolutely should, Scrooged isn't a traditional version of A Christmas Carol by any means. In fact, there is a major subplot about the television station Bill Murray works for putting on an elaborate live performance of A Christmas Carol that is constantly hitting the wall as the protagonist's real-life experiences with the spirits of Christmas keep interrupting the crew as they prepare for the show. Although much of the movie is built off Bill Murray's particular brand of humor, he does know how to embrace the necessary dramatic components of the story and build upon them. There are clear moments when his sarcastic protective shell cracks and you see him nearly break down. Actually, once or twice he does. And the famous speech at the end is a unique twist on the story, but more than anything, a fantastic way to drive home the morals. And my number 1 favorite version of A Christmas Carol is The Muppets Christmas Carol. The Muppets Christmas Carol is by far my favorite version of the story to date, and maybe even my favorite Christmas movie to watch every year. It's a musical version of the story filled with traditional Muppet humor, but it also has all the very serious elements of the story that stay true to the original intent of Charles Dickens. Michael Caine is quite possibly my favorite Scrooge. He brings the intensity and heaviness to the character that is absolutely necessary for the adaptation to be successful, but his range as an actor gives way to some of the best remorseful and repentant scenes of any Scrooge in any version that I've ever seen. Also, I just like to hear him sing. A musical Christmas Carol is a good idea, and one of the reasons I love this one so much. It hasn't ever really worked as a musical outside of this version as far as those I've seen personally, but then this is the only version with the Muppets, so maybe that's the key. I mean, how can you go wrong when it's the same people who came up with Rainbow Connection? Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, a Happy New Year, Merry Festivus for the rest of us, and everything else. This has been Mr. Wulfy. Peace out. Love you guys.